Mr. Gibbs, please read the statement of compliance.
In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, notice of this meeting has been properly advertised in the Daily Record and Suburban Trends. Its agenda has been posted at the appropriate locations, and a copy has been filed with the Pequannock Township Clerk.
Thank you. Will you please call the roll?
Mr. Bloomer.
Here.
Mr. Cerisi.
Here.
Ms. Dempsey is absent. Mrs. Esposito.
Here.
Mr. Gittin is absent. Mr. McSweeney is absent. Mr. Pompeo
Where's everybody?
is absent. Mr. Senek
I'm here.
and Ms. Shenton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Will everyone please stand for the flag salute?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our February 5th workshop meeting. Tonight, the board has a lot of great teachers, staff, and students to honor, so I'll try to keep my remarks brief. First, I want to congratulate Sophia Kletcher on becoming Pequannock's first NJNC wrestling champ this weekend. I also want to congratulate Maddie Carmichael for making second. I remember both of these young ladies from the rec program, and I'm very proud to see them succeeding at the next level. And not only that, but I think that it's fitting that these accomplishments took place on this weekend and the weekend before the board is going to discuss formalization of our plan to name the PTHS gym after one of our greatest coaches, teachers, and advocates for women's sports, Ruth Kellett. Also, I want to congratulate Carson Kaluko for becoming the all-time leading scorer in PTHS boys basketball history. I want to congratulate Aiden Lindgren, which if that's not a hockey name, I don't know what is, for becoming only the second person in Pequannock hockey history to score 100 points. Also, the board tonight would like to honor our teacher and education support professionals of the year award recipients from each one of our schools. The board wants to express our sincere appreciation for your effort and for all you do to help our students and our district succeed. Thank you, congratulations, and well done. Next, the board will recognize students from our PTHS band that have been selected to join the North Jersey area band. Those students include Sean Fournier, Kendra Meyer, Alex Nacion, and Liam Philhauer. Well done. Last, we have a presentation from our special services directors that will include an update from our local CPAC group. And finally, on a down note, the board would like to acknowledge the recent passing of Jay Wanchek. I met Jay at a Pequannock Historical Society meeting a few years ago, and I was instantly impressed by his knowledge of his town and what he knew about our school district and what he knew about the history of our school district. Jay's in our thoughts and prayers, and may he rest in peace. And now pass the mic to Dr. Portis.
Thank you, Mr. Senek, and I'll send it right over to Liliana for the student representative report.
For placing 5th at the County Wrestling Championships. Congratulations to Sophia Kletcher for making school female wrestling history. Congratulations to Carson Kaluko, who became the first all-time leading scorer in boys basketball. He is at 1,530 points and counting, and the previous record was held by Jordan DeBackman at 1,495 points. Congratulations to Aiden Lindgren for reaching 100 goals this past weekend. Congratulations to Noctis for placing 3rd at their Mid-Atlantic quarterfinal competition. The group also just sang at Adelphi University this past weekend. Our winter cheerleaders took first place in their first competition of the season, and our winter guard took second place in their first competition of the season. Congratulations to the mock trial team for advancing to the quarterfinal round of their competition season. Congratulations to the girls basketball team who advanced to the county quarterfinals with a big overtime win against MCVT. We've had several members of the winter track team break school records at the Morris County Championships. Congratulations to Nano Creffield with the 600-meter run, Ryan Chocolar with the 300-meter run, Derek Luttenberger, Luke McRory, Nano Creffield, and Ryan Chocolar in the X 400 relay. Derek Luttenberger with the 550-meter hurdles. Way to go, Panthers. And I'm also missing a couple because we've broken school records since then as well. All students in grades 8 through 11 have entered in elective requests for the 2024 to 2025 school year. PTHS counselors visited with students at PTHS to review the elective choices and met with PV 8th graders to explain the elective selection process last week. Teachers will be making recommendations for English, math, science, social studies, and world languages this week. Course recommendations will be made available the week of February 19th. Interviews were held for all applicants of the Allied Health, STEM, and Aviation academies last week. Acceptances are being sent out, and successful candidates must accept their spot in the academy by February 16th. Sports signups meetings took place last week. All sports paperwork needs to be submitted prior to participating. The deadline for paperwork is February 19th. Mr. Piccoli, a teacher at PTHS, has started Pequannock's Got Talent group, where students can highlight talents from singing to dancing to playing instruments. Students can sign up on the Google Classroom and perform during lunch periods in a coffee shop type environment. Just today, we hosted our very own blood drive through HOSA, a club here at PTHS, which stands for the Future Health Occupants Students of America, which was primarily run by Madeline Petruska. We've had over 70 students and staff members come over to the auditorium to the chance to save up to 3 lives. That's all for today. Thank you so much for your time. Let's go, Panthers.
Thank you, Liliana. And I love the fact that you finished with "that's all" without a hint of irony. That's a tremendous amount of information and really well presented. Thank you very much for that. And in the spirit of what Mr. Senek was talking about, we certainly do have a full agenda tonight, so I'll keep my comments brief. I'm just so happy that we have an opportunity to celebrate the people and activities that help to define the identity of our district. Our honorees from the Governor's Educator of the Year program come from a wide variety of backgrounds and serve a broad range of student needs. We also are celebrating the accomplishments of some of our very talented musicians who have earned recognition at the area band level. Our attention to special education and the myriad ways we look to support the needs of our staff and students is also a focal point tonight. And these celebrations do not tell the full story of the Pequannock Township School District, but they certainly do reflect the narrative of a district that achieves success in myriad fields and looks to bring people together to share the good news. So congratulations to all the people being recognized tonight, and please keep doing great things, making all of us proud. With that, I'm going to pass the mic over to Mr. Hazler, who is going to manage the introductions, and I can't see him, for the area band at a moment of stage right there. Mr. Hazler, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Portis. Thank you to the Board of Education for the opportunity to honor some of our students today. The North Jersey Area Band is a highly competitive auditioned honor band made of 9th through 12th grade students from 39 participating high schools in New Jersey. From North Jersey. Conductors are often internationally acclaimed artists. Past conductors include Robert W. Smith, Richard Saucedo, and David Holsinger. On December 9th, 2023, over 280 students auditioned, and 4 students from Pequannock auditioned successfully. We had 10th grade horn player Sean Fournier, 12th grade flute player Kendra Meyer, 11th grade tuba player Alex Nacion, and 12th grade percussionist Liam Philhauer. Sean, Kendra, and Liam played with the North Jersey Symphonic Band, and Alex played with the highest level band in North Jersey Wind Ensemble and received the second highest score of all the tubas who auditioned. These students performed with the North Jersey Area Band in their concert on Saturday, January 13th at Mount Olive High School and did a fantastic job. They are some of the hardest working students we have. You'll always see them, not just in the band room, but they're doing a variety of activities within our music department. So we are just super, super proud of them. So I'd like to bring up Sean, Kendra, Alex, and Liam. I think Liam is actually running back to practice. Okay. You know, Alex is in the noctives too, and Alex just sang at Adelphi, right? You were at Adelphi this weekend. They took third place, so congratulations to the Noctives as well. And Kendra too. And Kendra's in the Noctives as well. All right, so exciting time as we recognize our educators of the year and support professionals of the year. So I get to start off at the high school. And it is with great pride and enthusiasm that I get to speak about Ms. Gail Lapari tonight. Ms. Lapari is the PTHS Educator of the Year for Pequannock Township High School. Ms. Lapari has been a member of the Business Education Department and is in her 10th year at PTHS. She currently teaches our contemporary business and information technology classes and our hospitality management class that she wrote this year. In the CBIT class, Mrs. Lapari plays a critical role in the transition process for our 9th grade students. The freshman course provides a foundation for important skills necessary for our students to succeed inside and outside of the classroom. What sets Mrs. Lapari apart is her innovative approach to education, which involves creating real-world learning opportunities for her students. And those real-world experiences are taken from her own wealth of experience. Born and raised in England, she began working in the business world in human resources and marketing and taught business for 8 years. After getting married and coming to the United States, she worked in various roles as a health and nutrition teacher and teaching English online for Rosetta Stone. She was also a teacher's aide here at PTHS while her teaching credentials were being transferred. Here we go. One of the things about Ms. Lapari is that she really makes the curriculum relevant and engaging. Her ability to infuse these real-world experiences into the learning process has not only sparked a greater interest for her students, but has also prepared them for success beyond the academic setting. She's designed courses in the business department such as visual and fashion merchandising, hospitality management, and the CBIT course. She's also taught our sports and entertainment marketing and management courses as well. The students come knocking on her door to take her classes. She often combines her classroom instruction with opportunities for students to visit businesses, travel to New York City, and hear from business professionals. Mrs. Lapari's positive impact extends well beyond the classroom. She is an active and collaborative member of our school community, always willing to share her expertise and to support her colleagues. Her ability to inspire both students and fellow educators makes her an invaluable asset to our school. She has served as a co-advisor of our award-winning yearbook that showcases our Golden Panther pride each and every year. The time and dedication she puts into working with her students on building the yearbook is truly extraordinary. It really is a full-time job. It begins with creating a theme and then seeing that theme come to life through photos and capturing memories that will last a lifetime for our students. Ms. Lapari expressed that coming to work every day is energizing. The ability to bounce ideas off of colleagues and students, learning from each other, and building connections makes teaching fun. One of her colleagues remembers overhearing a student telling another student that Mrs. Lapari was not in that one day. The student's look on her face was only a preamble to what came next. The student said, "My day is just not the same when Mrs. Lapari's not here." And PTHS feels the same way. Congratulations to Mrs. Lapari, PTHS's Educator of the Year. Come on up. The fun part, Ms. Lapari, is you get to stand here the whole time. No? Okay, she's going to sit. Okay. All right, we're going to grab a seat up here and then we'll get everybody's picture. All right, it's with Golden Panther pride that I present PTHS's Educational Services Professional of the Year, Miss Alexandra Blau. This is truly one of those proud Pequannock homegrown stories. Miss Blau is a 2015 graduate of Pequannock Township High School who went to Montclair State University, majoring in psychology, minoring in social work, and earning a certificate in child advocacy. She went on to earn her master's degree in counseling with an emphasis on school counseling. On her way to earning her master's, she was an intern in our own guidance department, where she learned from experienced counselors like Betsy Crocker and Angela Escudero. We were fortunate to hire Miss Blau last year, and now here in her second year, she's being recognized as the Educational Support Services Professional of the Year. Over the past several years, our guidance department has been in a period of transition, and quite frankly, Miss Blau has been the glue that has helped hold it together. Her experience as a student and as an intern has provided key insight into maintaining the high standards of the department, as well as infusing new ideas to help move it forward. Mrs. Blau's positive attitude, warm smile, and compassion and help to help her students and parents and colleagues put everyone at ease. She is always looking out for the best interests of her students. When she's not working with students, you will find Ms. Blau in the hallway, the cafeteria, or really anywhere students are. She organizes the SAT that is held in October and March here at PTHS and facilitates several of the parent universities that are sponsored by the guidance department. In fact, there are many times where I find myself saying, Ms. Blau, you need to go home. And she responds with, I'm staying here for a night event, or I'm just going to a student's game. And that's the kind of dedication and commitment that Ms. Blau gives every day. In the short time she has been in the department, she's become the go-to person for her colleagues as well. They have formed a cohesive group that is always looking for ways to provide our students with the optimal learning environment. The main role of a counselor is to advocate for their students, and Ms. Blau does just that. She is not afraid to research new learning strategies for students. She's been active in our scheduling committee and is constantly learning tips on the college process to help both the students and the parents. One of her colleagues said, one of Ms. Blau's most admirable traits is her commitment to continuous improvement. She consistently seeks out opportunities to enhance educational programs, embrace new programs, and integrate technology into all facets of the work that the guidance office does on a daily basis. Ms. Blau is not content with the status quo. She's always searching for ways to elevate the quality of education and create positive change for the greater good of our educational community. I'm looking forward to see what is to come for Ms. Blau, but also for the students and staff she works with as she helps move PTHS forward into the future. Congratulations to Ms. Alexandra Blau, our Educational Support Professional of the Year. Just going to grab a seat right up there, and I'm going to introduce the principal of Pequannock Valley School, Mr. John Seborowski.
Good evening, everyone, and I would like to thank Dr. Portis and the Board of Education for recognizing all of our recipients this evening, and congratulations to all who are being honored. Pequannock Valley School's Educational Support Professional of the Year is Mrs. Jenny Jacobs. Jenny is in her 4th year now in Pequannock. Jenny has worked in a few different capacities, including student assistance counselor, SEL counselor, and now she's a school counselor at PV. She has worked closely with PV and PTHS over the last few years, and we are very happy to now have her with us full-time at the middle school. In whatever role she has played, though, one thing remains constant. Her calming demeanor always brings a sense of relief to anyone she encounters. She never says no when it comes to helping a student or staff member, and always does her best to ensure a situation, no matter how difficult, is moving in a positive and productive manner. Jenny originally majored in Spanish and secondary education at Northeastern. I was not aware of that when we hired her for a leave position, but more on that in a bit. It was during her field work in the inner city of Boston, though, where her passion for counseling began. As time went by, she enjoyed the one-on-one discussions with students and wanted to provide assistance in more than an academic setting. She began working with a program called Early Intervention, where the focus was on assisting children ages newborn through 2 years old. And it was a chance meeting she had during one of those sessions that led her down a different path. She was so impressed by the work of this individual that upon finding out more information, she shared with Jenny that she was a school counselor. From that point forward, Jenny knew what her calling was. She enrolled in LIU and soon attained her counseling degree. After spending time in a previous district, she came to PV in November of 2020 for a leave position for school counselor. And Jenny and PV clicked right from the moment she started. In fact, when I asked her why she chose to apply to Pequannock, she said she had a friend in the district, and when they would get together, she would hear all the positives her friend had to share about the students, staff, and district in general. Jenny said she would feel jealous because she didn't have that in her job at the time, and she wanted to be part of something like that. Jenny said from the moment she walked through the door at PV, she felt welcomed by everyone, and she wants to do her part in making others feel that way every day. One of Jenny's colleagues recently shared, she is always quick to offer help and support in whatever is needed at the moment. And another said she's not afraid to roll up her sleeves and help with anything. PV is fortunate to have her. Jenny is a tremendous resource in the areas of school counseling, social emotional learning, substance abuse support, and simply listening to anyone who is in need of a sympathetic ear. She's modest, so she probably didn't share this with many people, but she recently presented on a panel to Morris County educators on the dangers of vaping and how PV has handled the issue in recent times. Now, remember the time spent at Northeastern studying Spanish? Well, during her first year, I asked Jenny for help in subbing in a Spanish class, but that makes it sound all too calm. It actually went more like this. I was in need of a Spanish teacher for one period to finish the year, and all of our teachers had full schedules. I was on the brink of panic mode when Emily Ringen somehow heard that Jenny taught Spanish for a brief time. I literally ran across the building to her office, and when I finally caught my breath, I explained the situation. And in true Jenny fashion, she said, "When do you need me to start?" After I shouted "Muchas gracias," we got to work on planning the classes. And this is just one of the many times Jenny has put the needs of students before everything else. She's a great school counselor, but an even better person. She's always willing to go the extra mile and help anyone, anywhere in the building or district, and we are very fortunate to have her with us here in Pequannock. So once again, congratulations to PV's Educational Services Professional of the Year, Mrs. Jenny Jacobs. I am pleased to recognize Mr. Michael Zumo as Pequannock Valley Schools Educator of the Year. This is Mike's 15th year in education, all of which have been here in Pequannock at PV. Mike has taught math classes in both 7th and 8th grade and has been a fixture in the 8th grade wing for as long as I can remember. He is someone who brings a special energy to the building as well as to those around him. He always works to do what is best for his students, and his collaboration with his colleagues focuses on ways to improve learning, not only in his department, but throughout PV school. When I asked what brought him into this career, he said that in college he knew he wanted to be a teacher, and when he was told he had to select a subject area, his response was anything but English. And Mike's a gentleman, so he even apologized to me when he said that, knowing I was an English teacher for a long time. But something always told him, though, that he would be a math teacher, mainly because of a thought one of his high school math teachers shared with him one day. His teacher said that Mike really seemed to enjoy math, and the way he broke it down in class when helping his friends, the teacher knew he had a gift. This is also an important reminder of how significant our belief in our students can be. And who knows, without those words of encouragement from his math teacher, Mike may have actually gone on to be an English teacher. When we recently discussed his time in Pequannock, he said he had two choices. He interviewed here in Pequannock with Dr. Schrushheim on his college graduation day. From the moment the interview started, though, he knew he was in a special place, a place where people care about one another and always do their best to support each other. He didn't get that sense from the other district he interviewed with, so he took the job here in Pequannock and has never looked back. When I asked what keeps him coming back, he said the people here are wonderful. The staff and the culture is fantastic. People are easy to get along with because we all have the same goal. We don't just want better students, we want better people, and that is what we work to do every day. Mike never hesitates to put the needs of his students at the forefront of all that he does. He works to build relationships with all of his students so that he can instill in them the same passion he has for teaching math. He works to get his students to believe in themselves so that their best version of themselves comes to school each day. I'd like to just share a couple of quotes about Mr. Zumo from his colleagues. He's the consummate professional and is always willing to help a student, teacher, aide, or custodian. He has an instinctual knack for evaluating, reaching, and pushing students. He comes to school early to provide extra help to students and keeps in close contact with parents to build a strong home and school connection. Mike never hesitates to take the lead with a project. He has become the driving force behind PV's Field Day, where he organizes the entire event and makes it a special day for students and staff. This is just one example of how he is a leader in our school community and understands the importance of educating the entire student. In addition to these things, Mike has been a soccer, baseball, and basketball coach on both the high school and middle school levels. He is also the coach of the inaugural girls volleyball team at PV, winning a county championship in their first season last year. He holds his players to the same high standards that he maintains for all of his students and always stresses accountability and responsibility. Mike is a Nutley, New Jersey guy who still has ties to that community, and we share that connection. In fact, my son, as he approaches high school, always tells me to remind Mr. Zumo that he hopes they face off in high school at some point on either the soccer or baseball field. Even though Mike doesn't work in Nutley, I've met multiple individuals who say his time spent there as a resident, student, and athlete helped develop him into the educator, coach, and person he is today. And I share this with you tonight because I think it's a special thing for someone to be thought of so highly in both the town he grew up in and the town where he now works as a role model for so many young men and women in the classroom and out. The Pequannock Township School District is a better place with Mike Zumo here as one of our educators. We are all fortunate to be able to call him a teacher, coach, and colleague. And it is for all these reasons that I once again congratulate Mr. Zumo, PV's Educator of the Year. And now Mr. Reiner will come up and speak on behalf of SJG.
Good evening, everyone. The SJG Educational Services Professional of the Year is Mrs. Jacqueline Griffith. Mrs. Griffith studied at Rutgers University and Caldwell College. Before being the amazing SJG school nurse, Mrs. Griffith was a labor and delivery nurse as well as a cardiac ICU nurse. She has been in the nursing field since 1991. Mrs. Griffith left what I will call hospital nursing for a change of career to actually teach history. She attended graduate school to earn her master's in history, and while pursuing her degree, she took a part-time job in a private school as a school nurse. She fell in love with school nursing and working with children. For anyone who knows Mrs. Griffith, it is obvious that she is in the right profession now. Mrs. Griffith has been the SJG school nurse for 11 years, but she is much more than a school nurse. To our students, she not only heals boo-boos, but she teaches them how to be mindful and healthy, and she is someone who they seek out to talk to, as she is an empathetic ear and a trusted adult. To the staff, she is a trusted colleague, a friend, and someone they trust with their medical information as well as their needs. She is the utmost professional. The many recommendations that Mrs. Griffith received paint the picture of why she is the Educational Services Professional of the Year. A quote that really stood out was, "Jackie has continued to demonstrate through practice, going above and beyond for students, staff, and the community, why she should be and is the ESP of the Year. She abides by strong ethical standards and always maintains the dignity of the student and anyone that she works with. This couldn't be more true." Another quote is, "Jackie is more than a school nurse. She is part of the heartbeat of SJG." I see this quote as special because Jackie is the nurse, teacher, HIB specialist, leader of our school safety team, chairperson of the health and safety committee team for the PTEA, co-advisor of the school service club, and I think I might have missed some titles that she holds. These positions center around the areas of health and safety for our students and staff, educating the school community, and building our students into people who care about others. These three areas make up the heartbeat of every school, and she has a hand in them all. Jackie, you are a key part of what makes SJG so special, and I appreciate working with you each day. I'm sure that you get tired of hearing me yell, "Jackie," from my office to your office when I could simply call you on the phone. And I'm sure you're also sick of my insistence that you watch more movies so that you know where my quotes and references come from, but you never let on that it bothers you. I appreciate the latter because we laugh about it all the time, and I need someone to laugh at with my terrible jokes. To keep this short, I will end with that we are very lucky that you decided against teaching history and pursued school nursing, although I am sure you would have been an excellent teacher. We truly appreciate all you do for our students and our school community. You are very deserving of the SJG Educational Services Professional of the Year Award. Congratulations. All right, on to the SJG Teacher of the Year. The SJG Teacher of the Year is Mrs. Karen Schiffel. Mrs. Schiffel has studied at CCM, William Patterson University, and Mary Grove College. Mrs. Schiffel is currently in her 27th year in Pequannock after starting as a district substitute. She has taught second grade, fifth grade, and has been the MLSP or BSI teacher. She currently teaches third grade and has done so at SJG for the last 3 years. Mrs. Schiffel wasn't always a teacher. She first had a career as an administrative assistant at Bosland, a steel manufacturing company, and after that, she worked at Optical until it closed. Mrs. Schiffel then had the opportunity to become a substitute teacher and foster her love of teaching. The following are qualities that were a common theme in recommendations that were received for Mrs. Schiffel from both colleagues and parents: dedication, caring, creativity, engaging, fun, and loving. I believe that if you look up the definition of what makes a great teacher, the aforementioned qualities are all included. Mrs. Schiffel embodies what you would want a teacher of your children to be. On any given day, you can walk into her classroom and find Mrs. Schiffel making learning fun with either a fun activity or even a costume. She understands that students have to want to be in school to do well, and that children need a structured environment in which to learn. She holds high standards for her students, and they always reach to achieve them. When asked about her passion for teaching, Mrs. Schiffel stated, "My favorite thing about teaching is simply being with the kids, making connections and watching them connect with what we are learning." If you were to visit Mrs. Schiffel's classroom, you would see that passion on display each and every day. There is more to Mrs. Schiffel that makes her the teacher of the year besides exceptional teaching. She goes the extra mile and is a team player. Mrs. Schiffel arrives at school very early, often beating me in, and leaves late, often after I've already left. She puts in the time to ensure that her lessons will reach all of her students and that her materials are ready for the day. She collaborates well with her colleagues, often working together to ensure that all of our third grade students are completing the same lessons. Mrs. Schiffel also wants to help all of our students and our district. She does this as part of the district-wide committees, including the Health and Safety Committee, and she is also co-advisor of the SJG Service Club, which has a big part in maintaining the good character culture and climate at SJG. When not at school, you can find Mrs. Schiffel at sporting events that her students are playing in, dance competitions, or township events in Pequannock. Mrs. Schiffel often tells me that she loves living and teaching in Pequannock because she wants to make a difference. By showing up to outside of school events, she shows our students that they're important to her. Karen, you are a wonderful teacher and colleague. You are someone who is making that difference that you strive for. You are extremely deserving of the SJG Teacher of the Year Award. Congratulations, Karen. All right, and now Dr. Shaleri from North Boulevard.
Thank you so much. I'm very honored to honor these two education professionals at my school. First of all, I would like to congratulate Ms. Jessica Murin, a fifth grade teacher at North Boulevard, for her recognition as the Governor's Educator of the Year. Ms. Murin has been teaching for about 18 years, with 12 of them in Pequannock Township at both SJG and North Boulevard. Before she went back to school to become a teacher, she was an athletic trainer and a teacher's aide. We are so grateful that she chose this profession and landed at North Boulevard School. She is also an excellent addition to our CPR team for that reason, too, from the athletic trainer background. Ms. Murin is a quiet force at NB. She can calmly work through an issue with a worried child and then sit down with another child and offer them helpful writing feedback. Ms. Murin is reflective, always open to input and new ideas. I remember when I was a math supervisor, she was someone that I quickly felt comfortable collaborating with in order to find new ways to teach a difficult math concept. I still feel this openness anytime I enter her classroom. Ms. Murin is also very involved with the district outside of the regular school day. She has worked with other fifth grade teachers to plan all of the fun end of year activities such as class trips, mock trials, recognition day, and the end of the year party. She works with students before school and is co-advisor of the Heart Club. In the past, she has also been involved with the Green Team and mindfulness initiatives. She has also volunteered her yoga expertise at Literacy Nights and with staff members. Ms. Murin is always willing to give of her time and her energy to help her students and her colleagues. Outside of school, Ms. Murin enjoys yoga both as an instructor and a participant. She enjoys cooking and baking, as well as reading historical fiction and reading more about yoga. While Ms. Murin especially loves cats, she also enjoys all animals in nature, recently taking a trip to Vermont for a major hike involving scaling all 3 peaks. Most of all, we are grateful that Ms. Murin is one of our fifth grade teachers at North Boulevard. Congratulations again, Ms. Murin. I would also like to congratulate Ms. Kimberly Meyerson for her recognition as North Boulevard's Education Support Professional of the Year. Ms. Meyerson has been in education for 18 years, with 16 of them being in Pequannock Township. Prior to teaching, Ms. Meyerson worked in the marketing department for publishing companies and also was the director of an art gallery, while she also went back to school to finish her master's degree. Ms. Meyerson is our media specialist, but is so much more than that too. She's our go-to book reference person. She's always ready with a great book if I need to read to a class. She knows so much about so many topics and is ready with suggestions at any time. Teachers are grateful for assistance when they have a class project that requires research. Ms. Meyerson is also a tech whiz and helps our students become responsible digital citizens. Her favorite part of teaching is connecting with students and staff over books, and she loves watching them develop as readers over their time from kindergarten, sometimes preschool, through fifth grade. A favorite memory of Ms. Meyerson from a colleague was when the media specialist drove around town at the beginning of the pandemic and her students waved and held up books from their windows. After school hours, Ms. Meyerson stays busy finding great opportunities for North Boulevard students. She arranges our annual author visits and has chaired the reading committee, along with many other literacy-related activities from Read to Feed, Read Across America, and Literacy Nights. She has been a member of the Future Ready, DEI, consultative and character education committees, and has also been a PTA building rep. She's also run Battle of the Books, Library Helpers, and the Spelling Bee, along with clubs such as the Creativity Club, Computer Club, AV Club, and an Environmental Club. Outside of school, Ms. Meyerson is an active member of a hiking club, and she and her husband host bi-weekly hikes. She volunteers with the Domestic Violence Outreach Organization. It has also been brought to my attention that Ms. Meyerson is incredibly lucky, frequently winning vendor raffles at the New Jersey Association of School Librarians Fall Conference. In fact, she usually brings back sets of books, but this year she even brought back a table. However, we are really the lucky ones to have Ms. Meyerson at North Boulevard. Congratulations again. I'll turn this over to Mrs. Stager.
All right. Save the best for last, or the oldest principal for last. I'm not sure which one. I came prepared this year, though. All right. I am going to first recognize our Educator of the Year. I'm thrilled to be able to honor Mrs. Catherine Pontorio as Hillview's Educator of the Year. Catherine has been a teacher for 11 years and has served the Pequannock Township School District for the past 6.5 years at both SJG and Hillview. Catherine currently teaches third grade, and when you walk into her classroom, you immediately feel a sense of warmth. You really get the feeling that this person loves what she does. Mrs. Pontorio treats her classroom almost as if it's a home, incorporating fun color schemes, flexible seating options, and a giant friendship bracelet, so all her Swifties can unite down there in room 302. A Pinterest extraordinaire, her cricket skills are unmatched, and her classroom might just be the best decorated in all of Hillview. She may have the classroom the farthest away from the front door at HV, but it's always worth the trip to head down there and observe the engaging lessons she thoughtfully prepares for her students. Mrs. Pontorio attended William Patterson University, where she received a BA in History and Elementary Education. She started her teaching career in Dover, where she taught for 4 years prior to joining Pequannock. When asked what motivates her about teaching, Mrs. Pontorio noted, "I enjoy teaching for the connection that you get to form with your students. I love to learn all about my kids and chat with them about their interests and hobbies. My biggest philosophy in the classroom is that the kids need to feel safe and cared for in order to learn. So I always try to make our classroom as inviting as I can for them. Third grade is such a pivotal year for our kids. They come in from the younger wing of the school and grow so much in the 180 days we get to spend with them. I love when my old students come back to visit and reminisce about our year we spent together." Mrs. Pontorio embodies all the characteristics and essence of a highly effective teacher, the one who goes above and beyond and demonstrates strong commitment to the students, families, and district she serves. Mrs. Pontorio has a strong hold over instructional practice and ensures all students have equal access to the curriculum and differentiates for the ranging academic levels in the classroom. She finds unique and relevant ways to motivate her students, propelling them to reach their full potential. Third grade is a pivotal academic year for students, and Mrs. Pontorio seems to have the innate ability to foster a love of learning and set students up for success in the upper elementary and middle school years. In addition to being an outstanding teacher, Mrs. Pontorio is a supportive colleague. She's always willing to grow professionally, implement new programs, and do whatever it takes to help her students meet with success. Her collaborative nature is a testament to the spirit of teamwork that makes Hillview successful. When she's not teaching, Mrs. Pontorio is a proud mommy to Ellie, her 2-year-old daughter. In her spare time, you can find her spending all her time with her family and friends. She's found that being a parent doesn't leave much time for hobbies. It's tough to give so much to your students each day and then be present for your own child at home. However, Mrs. Pontorio makes it look easy. Catherine, I'm sure we share in your family's great pride in your accomplishments in Pequannock. The honor of being selected as our Educator of the Year is well deserved. We look forward to your continued contributions to the school and district for many years to come. Congratulations. I'm also thrilled to be able to honor Ms. Alona Osterwick as our Educational Service Provider of the Year. Ms. Osterwick is our dedicated and extremely hardworking speech therapist. Alona really loves what she does and certainly does it well. When people think about schools and education, they often think of teachers and students. Yet, speech therapy is an invaluable service addressing not just the mechanics of speech, but the very essence of communication. Ms. Osterwick stands out as someone who goes above and beyond to make a difference in the lives of students. Alona has a large caseload, and in addition to servicing her students at Hillview and other schools in the district, she manages IEPs, is an integral member of the child study team, and scheduler extraordinaire. I mean that in all sincerity, too. Alona might work more days than me over the summer, trying to figure out optimal times to run her session as the school schedule evolves. It's no easy feat when servicing 6 grade levels across 15 or more classrooms. Alona has been in education for nearly 30 years, with the last 27 in Pequannock. Prior to joining the district, she spent some time at the Daron School, a private special education K-12 school in Morris County Special Services. She also taught preschool prior to finishing her degrees. Alona attended William Patterson University for both her undergraduate and graduate degrees, pursuing degrees in communication disorder and speech language pathology. Alona continues to be passionate about her chosen career and noted, as a speech pathologist, I am passionate about being able to positively impact the way children communicate with their peers and adults. I enjoy working with children that have communication disorders because when they learn a concept or master the production of a sound, they take off with it and have the confidence to speak out loud. That's the best part of my job. It's also all of the professionals, colleagues that I work with every day. Working together, we strive for the best outcome for our students. The spirit of teamwork that permeates through the halls of Hillview is fostered by the exceptional staff, and Ms. Osterwick is a testament to that. Alona doesn't just view herself as a therapist with one role. She is willing to consult with teachers about all students and offer guidance, knowing that the way a child communicates correlates directly with achievement levels. She serves on the INRS committee, and her input there helps us more effectively meet the needs of struggling students. There's so much overlap in what Alona does with the classroom teachers. She is committed to working for the greater good of the school community, and as an administrator, that is perhaps the greatest quality a staff member can possess. As a local resident of having had her 2 children attend Pequannock schools, Alona is deeply committed to the quality of service she provides. Alona is also a loving and supportive mom to Justin and Haley. She lights up when she talks about them and has spent countless hours, days, weeks, maybe even years attending swim meets all over creation. Knowing a thing or two about competitive swim and clearly enjoying the smell of chlorine, Alona has become a certified high school swim official and is enjoying being on the pool deck with the swimmers and calling all the races. She manages to squeeze this in while attending Seton Hall and Susquehanna collegiate swim meets for her own children. When not at the pool, Alona is also a proud dog mom to Dakota, who helps her get her daily steps every day. She enjoys hiking, cooking, and traveling. Despite her incredible commitment to her family, she even found the time last summer to take an adventurous solo trip to Paris to explore and experience the culture. Alona keeps all of us on our toes, and we never know what she might do next. In conclusion, I ask you join me in extending our warmest congratulations and appreciation for Alona Osterwick, our Educational Service Provider of the Year. We are extremely proud of you. I'm not done yet. We are extremely proud of you, and thank you for your contributions that have helped shape the fabric of our school community. think it's picture time now.
Mr. Honor. Good night. Oh, wow. Yeah, so great. Congrats. Thank you. Like.
Well, I'll, I realize most people have already left from the Governor's Educator of the Year recognitions, but I'd like to express again my feedback. Now, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation not only for the recipients and all the people who came out to recognize them, but also the principals for delivering some really beautiful speeches there. And I'll let Ms. Bronco and Mr. Foglio take the floor in a moment. They're going to give a brief presentation about special education in the district and then provide an opportunity for our CPAC members to talk about what they do. And I will tell you, it can be a little unnerving when you're about to speak and all of a sudden a room clears out and you have about 200 fewer people in it. You get used to it. But anyway, nevertheless, it's still very important what you have to share. And I'm really glad that not only you were able to make it, but also that we could show our partnership with the CPAC. So the floor is yours.
Wow. Yeah, we cleared a room. So that's first. Second, amazing. All of those people. Like you, Dr. Porter always points out when he has to speak after somebody, how we're going to pale in comparison, but I feel like my to-do list has grown tremendously from hiking high peaks to walking my dog more. Yoga. Olga, I mean, wow, they've done so much, and all the dedication they still provide our district is truly amazing. I probably should have led with I'm Chris Foglio, and I'm flanked here by
Helena Bronco. Hi, everyone.
And it's a privilege to come here tonight to present to you just a little piece of, what special education looks like in the district. Switch the.
Thanks.
Thank you. I pressed all the buttons. Yes, tonight during our presentation, we hope to answer these questions for you. What is an IEP? Do I have to read the whole thing? We have programs, and where can I find help? The second bullet, do I have to read the whole thing? The short answer is yes, but we're going to go through some important points and pages that you might look for in an IEP.
So some things to think about by George Evans. He quoted, "Every student can learn not just on the same day or in the same way." And this really stands true. I think with, which we'll share shortly, a lot of different specials programs that we offer here in Pequannock just to help support students who all learn differently.
So if you get your IEP or are faced with your first IEP, there's several pages. It does come off as a novel. But to start, we do have the title page. And yes, I included up here. It is not just a title page. It does include very important information. It'll include what the event was, what type of meeting occurred. And that could be a initial, it could be an eval, a re-eval, an annual review. It contains all the demographic information, the classification, of the student, and then future evaluation dates, implementation dates, and then other meeting dates. We also have present levels, which would follow, and present levels are critical both for the family and the teachers that are reading the IEPs. This gives an outline of what the student is capable of, what they've done in the past, and what has worked for them moving forward. So this gives a lot of helpful hints and tips about what works for the student. It also will identify any weaknesses and then how we might address them moving forward. Goals and objectives will come later. These are measurable. Everyone's read about SMART goals, so they're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And the important key here is that they're individual and based on data. So the goals should reflect some area that we might have identified as a weakness, and then what are we going to do to build upon those and show progress throughout the year.
Moving forward, so another section of the IEP is the modifications and accommodations sections. So again, as we said earlier, the IEP is a fluid document. At any point, normally you'll have an IEP meeting. The anniversary date is once a year, but you can hold, a parent can request, and or the child study team can request an IEP meeting at any moment and make amendments, changes as needed to support the student. So in this section, these are supports in the classroom. So modifications change what is learned, and those things can be listed there. And then also the accommodations change how the content is learned. The next page is the program page. So that's usually the current program. We're going to go over a couple of options that we have available here in Pequannock. And so that section will tell you what special ed programming is best for the student to support his or her learning, along with a related services section, which also provides the frequency and also the duration of services. And then lastly, there is other sections of the IEP which may or may not be relevant to the individual student. We do offer, obviously, we have 2 behavioral analysts in our district. And so many times students that exhibit behavioral challenges will, the behaviorist will create a behavioral intervention plan. So that might be listed with supports there to support them in the classroom and or throughout the day. And then also there's the parental concern section. So this is a section that the parents have the right to put whatever they would like verbatim in this section. And then the procedural safeguards, that's just our process in case there's a disagreement with sections or parts of the IEP, who to reach out to, myself, Chris, and also our county supervisor, and then the process for that.
Within our district, we do offer, a variety of programs. Programs can change over the course of time, depending upon the student populations and the needs of the district. We offer, in-class resource classes, and that is where you'll see two teachers within the classroom. There'll be one special education teacher and one gen ed teacher certified in the content area typically, and they will work, in tandem within the setting to support the needs of the students. Pull out resource. This is where we get our small group setting. Again, this can be an area that is departmentalized in secondary, and it'll be a small group setting, up to 12 students with a special education teacher, usually highly qualified within the content area. And then last but not least, our self-contained population. This is, our neediest population. These students require greater supports within the setting, and this will be with a special education teacher, and they'll ultimately be responsible for all instructional areas.
So just real back towards the programming. So here in Pequannock, we do offer different self-contained programs. So at one of our elementary schools and middle and high, we do offer an LLD program. We have a multiple disabilities program that we offer. And then we also this year established a new program. It's called Collaborative Learning Environment, CLE program, at our third elementary school. So these programs are offered to support students at all varying levels. Just wanted to add that piece there. So related services, as we said earlier, in the programming page, along with the special ed programming that's relevant to that student, you can also have different related services. So as I said before, we do have two wonderful board certified behavior analysts on our Pequannock team. And they, many times will come in, do observations, do functional assessments, and then create a behavior intervention plan if applicable. So that would be on there. Many times you'll see it in the related services section, a behavioral consult where the behavior analyst will come in and, check in on the student, again, conduct more observations and so forth. Then you have the SLP. And so the speech language pathologist also works with, evaluating students and then providing some form of treatment, individual, or it can be in a group format. So that is also an option for communication disorders. You have the OT and PT, occupational therapist, and the physical therapist, same thing. They can provide individual group sessions. And this year, we're fortunate enough that we're in our second year of our 3-to-1 model, which is a flexible model that offers that our related services provides direct sessions throughout the month. And then 1 week of the month, they provide indirect services, which has been really beneficial in our district for carryover, observations, maintenance of skills, and so forth, makeup sessions. And then the last related services is counseling. That's also on a individual basis. It's normally school-based counseling is a short-term intervention, but it does help students cope with anything that they need to be successful in school with their social and emotional needs. And that, again, can also be in an individual or group format.
And the counseling can be provided by our social workers, our school psychologists, or our guidance counselors. Oh, and following our presentation tonight, we do have the privilege of having our CPAC, our Special Education Parent Advisory Committee, present. This is actually one of the first groups that I got to work with moving into district, and they've been fabulous. We meet about once a month, and they provide us a lot of feedback from what's going on in the community, and then how we can help serve them, and then again we can help inform them of what's happening from the school side. We collaborate on resources, programs. We've talked about Unified and all those types of organizations and activities that help support our students. I did include a link to the website there, and they will be following her.
Yep. So lastly, before CPAC representative actually comes up, these are just a list of resources. There's a lot more, but this is really helpful. Obviously, you have the NJ code on here, referrals for parents, our link to our parent university page, which this presentation will be there. So if you would like to access any of the links, please go there. And then just a bunch of other behavioral health resources and tips for parents.
So we'll include this as part of the Parent University, and all those links will be available. And then last but not least, if there are any further questions, our emails are listed there, and we're pretty quick to respond. So thank you very much, and it was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Amy Ferranti, and I am a member of the Pequannock Special Education Parent Advisory Committee. So tonight, we're just going to go over our organization committee. This is great. All right, what is CPAC? CPAC is a Special Education Parent Advisory Council. So every public school district in New Jersey has to they are required to establish a CPAC. So the purpose of this group is to provide opportunities for the parents and the community members to offer input to their district on critical issues relating to students with disabilities. Good. So what is the purpose? The purpose of CPAC, you can also may hear it called CPAG, is a district-wide organization created by parents to support the emotional, social, and academic well-being of children with special needs. We provide information, educational opportunities, resources, and support to families and professionals striving to achieve the maximum benefit for all children in our community. What is our vision as a CPAC? We aim to improve the systematic issues for children classified for special education related services and to promote inclusion of children with special needs with the necessary supports within our schools and communities. Okay, the mission of Pequannock CPAC is to facilitate communication between parents, staff, and administration regarding the district's special education programs, to provide input to the district on issues concerning students with disabilities. We do have the pleasure of meeting with Helena and Chris once a month. We recently have come together with Lincoln Park CPAC, so we're working with them as well. This is just a list of everybody who is part of the Parent Advisory Council. On the left would be all the district. And then on the right, we do have a few openings. So if anybody is looking to be a representative from Hillview or from SJG, we would love to have you join. Okay, and then we do have meetings, multiple meetings throughout the school year. Our next meeting is March 5th. And that will be, SPAN will be coming out to meet with us to discuss running a CPAC. If you have any other information, we do have a social media website. And join us. Let's make a difference together.
I'm Melissa Stelmasic. I'm the community liaison for CPAC. And I just wanted to touch base on what Amy was just saying about March 5th. Hold on a second so I can see. It will be taking place at 7 p.m. And we have partnered with the Lincoln Park CPAG, and they too will be joining us. We will be in the media center at Pequannock Valley Middle School, and we will also have a Zoom if you cannot attend in person. Beth Cosentino, she is one of the representatives from SPAN, the Parent Advocacy Network. She will be joining us, and she will be teaching us about what makes a sustainable, effective, parent-led special education parent advisory group. So we really would like to welcome all of you to join us. We do have a social media presence, so we try to put that out on social media so that everybody is aware of it. And like we had said before, one of our goals this year was to branch out and start to partner with other communities. This is a regional workshop, so we are looking for other districts to take part as well, not just Pequannock or Lincoln Park. And we were just very happy to partner with Lincoln Park. We've been meeting with them monthly as well, which has been great this year. And we just wanted to let all of you know that Boonton has actually decided to partner with us as well. And the Lincoln Park students go to Boonton for high school. So this is great. We're actually going to be meeting with them in the coming weeks. So that's about it. And if you have any questions, you can always contact us. We do have an email account. Thank you.
I'm Lynn Schwartz, out of district representative. I think everybody pretty much knows me, but I have nothing to say other than that was an amazing presentation to all of our educators. So really good. And please come out and join us. Please. Yeah, please consider coming out in March. I think it's going to be a great event. It is a regional event, and we're hoping to get a lot of districts, including like the likes of Patterson and other areas. So it would be really good for a good showing from Pequannock. Thank you.
So I just want to say before you ladies leave that I appreciate you coming. I know that as parents that are in some form or some step of the special education process, it's definitely confusing. And if you're one of those people and you're wondering who can help you and you maybe don't want to go to the district for whatever reason and you're looking for another resource in addition to the district, you have a great resource right here. And that's part of the reason why we wanted CPAC to come to one of our meetings and express all that they do. So that way people are aware of this resource. So I hope people will attend your meeting. I thought it was a great presentation by you as well as you, Ms. Bronco, and you, Mr. Fulvio. Thank you. Thank you for what you do for our kids. And we appreciate you all. Thank you.
What was the span date again? March 5th. Thank you.
And that will conclude the superintendent's report.
I think you just took the record from Hazler for hogging a mic. Mr. Gibbs, do you have a report?
Yes. Good evening. On January 22nd, the laminated beam in the high school media center was inspected by the school's architect's engineer, and it was deemed that one of the beams can be repaired and the other one has to be replaced. I'm currently working with the school's insurance carrier on the claim. On January 30th, we had an inspection of the middle school by our insurance provider, and the school is in compliance. The carpeting in the high school's auditorium that was damaged by the heavy rain will be replaced possibly during the spring break. The insurance company will cover the cost of the replacement, less a $5,000 deductible. The shed located at the high school's athletic field that was broken into has been repaired and is fully functional. This is just a reminder for those who have not completed their financial disclosure statements to let me know if you have any questions or difficulties in submitting your statements. And finally, there will be an 8th town meeting on Thursday, February 15th, starting at 7 p.m. located at the high school auditorium. The town meeting will be a zoning board of adjustment meeting regarding the approval of One School Global's new facility that will be located across the street from the high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I will open the meeting now up to public comment, and being that there's not a lot of people here, I'm going to open the meeting up for public comment on any item. So if you're here and you wish to talk, you don't need to wait till the end of the meeting. So members of the public may speak once for a maximum period of 5 minutes by the clock during this portion of the meeting, and the public may speak on any item during their 5 minutes. If a member of the public wishes to raise a question, all questions should be directed to the board president, and please state your name and sign in before we begin.
Is that now? Don't worry, I didn't bring a lot. It just looked like I did. Okay. First of all, that was awesome with all the teachers being recognized. That was great. My name is Peggy Biondi, and I not only went here in high school, I still reside in town. And I am a recent retired phys ed teacher, coach, I think 22 years, 23 years, something like that. Enjoying being a grandparent now. So I'm here to speak in behalf of naming the gymnasium after Ruth Kellogg. So there is a lot that I could share, but I realize the time is of essence. So I want to just share a short story. As a coach, I used to play this game, I'm sure you've heard of, Two Truths and a Lie. And it was on an index card, and it was a way for me to get to know some of my players. And I would go first and I would say, okay, here are my 2 truths and a lie. And you can put them in any order. And the 2 truths I always shared was, if you take 2 basketballs and you drop them through the rim, they would go through together. That's my first. My second would be, I played basketball here at Pequannock High School in a pinafore dress with bloomers and a white button-down shirt with Peter Pan collar. And then I would make up a lie. They would consistently say, Coach, you have it backwards. It's supposed to be 2 truths and a lie. Those are the 2 they never believed. And if you've ever worked with teenagers before, you have to show them. So I had a picture of myself here playing in bloomers, skirt, and a top. And then, of course, I had to get the ladder and do the other. The reason I tell you this story is because Ruth Kellett was my coach at the time. And more than the accolades that she had and received and had accomplished as a coach, to me, for me personally, for the community, to 34 years of students, athletes, and colleagues that she's worked with, was the beginning when Title IX was signed into law. 1972, 50 years was last year, the anniversary. But if you read anything about the comments that people were making about Title IX, it was not the policy that was signed. It was the people that ushered it in, because it was hard, it was difficult. It never mentioned sports. It wasn't supposed to be that way. And we were lucky to have two teachers, Carol Schoen and Ruth Kellett, to help usher that in. What did that do besides change what I played in? I actually got a uniform, we got all that. But much more important than that was it made equal time for games, equal amount of games, equal practice schedules. I can go on and on about the change those quick years made for the group of people at the time. I am convinced, and so are many, many others in this community, that it changed for others many, 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 many years later. The girls, the athletes, the opportunities, the programs that they can sign up for today are like a snowball effect of somebody like Ruth Kellett, the watchdog of Title IX. She was coined as saying, giving a lot of the credit to the male leadership that she worked for. She said, I have never been a woman's liver. She's quoted in the New York Times and the Tampa Times, referencing the fact that she helped men become equal pay also. She became the first athletic director in the state of New Jersey. I believe it was a tie because 30 minutes before somebody had appointed an AD female in the state of New Jersey, but we call it a tie. When she did that, one of her first things was to make equal pay for equal coaches. So if two people coach the same sport, and then at that time you coached females, let's use tennis, coach male tennis and one coach female tennis, the female coach would make less. So again, here we are into where she was that watchdog and ushered in another equality for all. Next, I began my varsity coaching in 2002. I walk into a county meeting. 6 of us women were coaches, 28 total. They introduced me and I said, yeah, I played for Pequannock. I played for Ruth Kellett. 2 men stopped in their tracks and said, you played for Ruth Kellett? I said, sure. And they said, you know, the whole story about Title IX and her? I go, yeah, I was there. And the main thing they wanted to drive home to me was the fact that their schools at the time did not jump on it, did not make equality for all, did not bring girls' sports up the way that we did here in Pequannock. It was a different time frame. You didn't have to adhere. It was just signed 1972. It took years for other schools. So Pequannock was a trailblazing district because of Ruth Kellett. I am convinced. The last point I will make is when we think about, I think about naming a gymnasium after somebody. It can't just be the fame, the first AD in the state of New Jersey, the first female coach of a boys basketball team, the winningest coach. She's got the record for, I think, 45 wins in a row in the state. I can go on and on, state championships, Morris County. I think it's the ability to make change for the betterment of our community, for the betterment of our students, for the betterment of our district. And I'll end with this always, and I brought it with me. In my office for the years that I worked, I laminated it because I'm old and it got old, is a story about Ruth Kellett and 2 other coaches who were told that there's no way you can have a Morris County tournament for girls basketball. There's no way anybody will go there. It just won't happen. So they took their own money. We actually folded the flyers and we did all the work. And this article is 25 years later. They were honored at the Morris County Tournament Championship game, which they then at the time were holding at FD University. And there's 3 coaches in there that talk about, and the most specific thing I will tell you is 236 people were turned away They could not get a ticket for the game. And this is girls Morris County. And that's the night they're being honored. And there were other games where I think the coach of Morris Catholic couldn't get tickets for the nuns because the games were so full that they couldn't get in. And they were laughed at. They had to turn the nuns away. So maybe, I don't know what's happening to that guy. But my point is that their drive, their commitment to making equality for all, it wasn't just a short time. It has really, truly, I mean, I believe the success of Pequannock's athletics, not just in girls, but in guys, was partly due, if not an opportunity created for us to be successful, was definitely by Ruth Kellett. So I am available for any questions you may have about it. I have something I could share with you in terms of a slide presentation, just send it to you because there are other people who wrote many letters in case I needed some more support. There's a woman, Wendy Larry. I think Title IX also was the first opportunity for women to get scholarships based on sports. And they were called grant-based aid. A boy got a scholarship for basketball, but a girl got a grant-based aid. But that was our first stepping stone. And one of the first recipients in New Jersey lived in Bloomingdale. She went to Butler. Fast forward, I'm at a Final Four game in 2016, I think it was, in Florida. And I'm sitting with this woman, Wendy Larry, first one in the state to get this aid. She went to Old Dominion. She became one of the winningest coaches in the country. And she's sitting there with me and Ruth Kellett's husband, Dave, when my dream come true. I'm finally at the Final Four. And she was being honored that day at halftime, Wendy was. And she said, Peggy, you realize none of this crowd, none of me being honored would be happening if it wasn't for Ruth and her coach, Marge Giles. And those are the things that continually remind me that maybe there's others out there, because for 34 years, we've got people in this community that for 34 years consistently were being exposed to this type of commitment to equality. So I thank you. Time and any questions, I'll be more than glad to answer. You can tell I love to talk about Ruth.
I think it'd be great if you could send the presentation maybe to Dr. Portis, then he could share it with us.
You have one of the first ones when I first came up with the idea, because Ruth has been passed over. It's been a year ago. I wish we could have done this when she was alive, but we had many conversations about it. That was the first one. And then recently I will send it to you right now. Just has kind of, I use the word trailblazer. What does that mean? Inspire. What does that mean? Culture. What does that mean? Because I want to make sure you understand she was a great coach. No, don't let anything take that back. She was in the New York Times. She was in the Tampa Bay Times. But those are things that are great conversations. But when somebody walks by the gym with the name on it, we want to invoke a conversation about, wait, who was that? Who was that? Well, here's what she did. There's some conversation about it. And there are a lot of people in this town who were inspired by her still, but maybe they tell a story about somebody who fought for equity and won, and the commitment to the student body. I mean, it's phenomenal. So I'll share that one with you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Portis, just a thought, it might be really great to share some of the information with the kids, even at the elementary level, just so that especially before the naming, so we could really maybe during Women's Health Month and Women's History Month or something, just kind of so the kids, even like the younger kids, understand the importance of it and why it's being named.
Yeah. Coach and I have had a number of conversations about this. We've had a number of conversations, period. Most center on basketball, but regarding this, we want to make sure that whatever we do, and it certainly wasn't coming out of the gate, it wasn't a fait accompli that we were going to name the gym, but whatever we did, we wanted to make sure that it wasn't just putting a name up there and then the name gets forgotten. It was really important that it was the name is up there and information about the legacy is readily available. And it was really interesting early on in our conversations too. We audited the different things that have been named for people throughout the district, and there were a couple of instances where things were named for people and we didn't know who they were anymore. And that to me, tragedy is too strong of a word, but it's disservice to somebody's legacy. So we have an opportunity here to do something that I think will resonate for a long time. And to Coach's point as well, we when Mr. Senek was talking, he brought up what Maddie Carmichael and Sophia Clutcher did in wrestling. And the idea when we started coaching and teaching that there would be female wrestlers who were receiving accolades on this level would have been unheard of. And now there's no surprise. You know, it's byproduct of a lot of hard work. So I think to have a constant reminder of how hard it is to initiate change, how much persistence is required, willpower, and just we want that testament to be there. Yeah. And I can't believe you held out that there's a revised version of the presentation. I haven't gotten it yet.
Well, I didn't want to overwhelm you because I could, there's a lot. All right, thank you.
I think the one thing that you said too, as you know, not even the coaching and the teaching and all that, was that that she stood for equity for all.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that when you said the male tennis coach and the female tennis coach, was that if there was a male coaching the girls' team, he was being paid less. It wasn't about the coach. It was about that the girls' team meant less. And she was able to change that. And that's huge.
That's
Right.
shocking.
Yes.
Yeah. No, she came to your first on day one. Crazy.
Right.
Then she's at state level. She served on many state commissions. She changed the officiating for one night, a lot more than outside of our.
Right.
Yep.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roehampton Plains. I'm here representing the High School Music Parents Association. I too like to congratulate all the people that got recognized here today. It's great. Students, teachers, I mean, history, everything. It's great. It was already mentioned, the Noctives, they got third place in their quarterfinals with the ICHSA, and then placed third. They over at Adelphi University was their first time performing at Sing Strong, New York. And for the past 6-7 seasons, they've been in the ICHSA. It's the same old faces each year they compete against. Over at Sing Strong, New York, they were meeting kids from Tennessee, Arizona. Like, these groups are at the top level. They're traveling across the country to compete, and they had a great time there. Hopefully Mr. Arnold's able to continue bringing his kids back to programs like that. My Winter Guard started their competitive season. They finished second place down in West Orange, and they'll continue their competitions this week in Saddlebrook. We have a winter ensemble showcase coming up on Friday, February 16th at 7:30. That's going to start. The indoor percussion group, the Winter Guard, jazz band, and the Noctives are going to perform everything they've been working on through the winter season. And Mr. Arnold and the cast for Beauty and the Beast are putting together some kind of preview. Like, they don't have sets and costumes and things of that nature yet, but they're going to put together a preview, big ensemble number or something to do for everyone who comes out. So please come out and support them with that fundraiser for their winter programs. I know in about 6 weeks, probably right around spring break time, the musical technical staff is going to start doing their programming for the Beauty and the Beast lighting. So I know I had asked before about having lamps replaced on the stage. If that's gonna be done, we would prefer it to be done either before they start doing their programming or after the show. Because once they start setting lighting levels, if they go on the stage and replace 60 lamps, now they're gonna be making adjustments and there's just not that much staff to be doing things, multiple times. So either way, new carpets would be great too. That'll be nice for the show. The previous meeting, Mr. Bloomer had mentioned like a facilities walk review. I don't know if that has happened yet, but if it did not, I'd ask you to look at the ticket booth at the main entrance to the football field. It's in bad shape. It looks bad, but it looks even worse when we're in there selling tickets and we have portable lights on inside, because then you can see all the holes with the light shining through. It's a bad look for the couple hundred people coming from other towns to see the football game. And I guess the last thing is I wish you a successful board retreat and keep doing the hard work to move this thing, in my opinion, a great direction. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Just to echo, I appreciate what you brought up, and just it's so exciting to see so many things coming together to the point that I can't keep up in my notes. Like even when Liliana was doing the student report, I couldn't keep up. And even with what you were just talking about here too, like I missed a couple of things, and it's not a slight against my ability to write fast. It's just it's a comment on how many things our kids are doing and doing really well. So appreciate the support that you're giving them, that you're giving to the board. Just it's such a wonderful thing for our whole community.
Okay, thank you. We will now move into the approval of our action items. And the first committee up is PMC. So I'm going to ask Mr. Cerisi to please move PMC.
I would like to move PMC 179-24 through PMC 189-24.
Second.
Any question or discussion? Mr. Gibbs, please call the roll.
Mr. Bloomer,
Yes.
Mr. Cerisi.
Yes.
Ms. Dempsey is absent, Mr. Gittens absent, Mr. McSweeney is absent, Ms. Pompeo is absent, Mrs. Shenton,
Yes.
Mrs. Esposito,
Yes.
and Mr. Senick.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Mrs. Esposito, would you please move CIS?
I'd like to move CIS 63-24 through CIS 67-24.
Second.
Any question or discussion?
Can I just make a comment?
Sure.
I would like to thank Mr. McBride. I know Ms. Riggin assisted with putting together this Mountain Creek Ski Resort trip. I know the kids are beyond excited. It was like trying to get concert tickets, signing up for the survey. So, refreshing the email until it popped. So thank you so much for that. I know they're super excited.
All right, Mr. Gibbs, please call the roll.
Mr. Bloomer,
Yes.
Mr. Cerisi.
Yes.
Ms. Dempsey is absent, Mr. Gittens absent, Mr. McSweeney is absent, Mr. Pompeo is absent, Mrs. Shenton,
Yes.
Mrs. Esposito,
Yes.
and Mr. Senick.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Mrs. Shenton, would you please move other?
Yes, I would like to move O-10-24.
Second.
Any question or discussion? Mr. Gibbs, please call the roll.
Mr. Bloomer,
Yes.
Mr. Cerisi.
Yes.
Ms. Dempsey is absent, Mr. Gittens absent, Mr. McSweeney is absent, Mr. Pompeo is absent, Mrs. Shenton,
Yes.
Mrs. Esposito,
Yes.
and Mr. Senick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, that takes care of our takes care of our regular business meeting items. Now we move into our workshop discussion items. First, under PMC, we have two items, start, end times, and school start times. I really blew that one. And a staffing update.
you want, we can rewind the tape and try again, or you're good?
Oh, no, it's all right. I know what I said,
We're
and
good.
no one else does either.
All right. Yeah, just a quick update on the school start and end times. Obviously, the resolution passed with the last vote, which was great news. I've been working with the association to amend contract language to allow for the revised schedules at PV and PTHS. The high school is the heavier lift as we're looking to move towards a rotating drop block. The way the current language is constituted focuses more on keeping the same schedule every day. So we're working together on that, still working with the admin team at the high school on best ways to prepare our staff for a new schedule. And we're just really excited about it. Once we have everything set, we will establish dates when we will present to the public. We'll do a shared PV and PTHS presentation. It'll most likely be a 6:30 kickoff, which is unusual. Usually we start things at 7, but we'll do about a half hour on the middle school. The changes there are less significant, and then dedicate an hour, if not more, to the high school. And that'll provide us an opportunity to field any questions people might have, but also to clear up any concerns that there might be, and just to provide the most accurate information that we can. But pretty excited about this. I think that we're going in a very positive direction, not only for supporting our staff and students from a mental health perspective in terms of getting better sleep, more sleep, and just having hours a little more conducive to their biorhythms. But I also think that updating these schedules is going to provide an instructional model that's really going to benefit our teachers. And I say this as somebody who taught in a rotating drop block, and I really loved it. So, and then also we have an information session planned for the pre-K update, and this is to give our community updates on what we're looking to do with the pre-K schedule. I realize it's kind of tough to present because a lot of our people who might be looking at pre-K might not know they're looking at pre-K yet, because it's only for 3 and 4 year olds. It's a very limited time span, but the real crux of it is that we want to have a schedule in place in which kids are with the same teacher for the duration of the day, and those teachers are pre-K certified and they're Tools of the Mind trained. And Tools of the Mind is an outstanding program. We found it has really helped our kids. And what the staff presented to us was a model in which they could keep the kids all day. Previously, they've been going out to specials for music, for art, for PE, but the way the Tools program is set up, the classroom teacher actually should be, or could be, and should be providing that instruction. So the kids will still be getting the access to a very diverse curriculum that incorporates art and structured play and music, but it'd be coming from the same teacher throughout the day. So logistically, it means an earlier end time for the pre-K program. But as I said last week or 2 weeks ago, this isn't daycare. We're not looking to keep them there as long as possible. It's an educational program, and we want to make sure that it suits their educational needs as well as possible. So we'll have the information session for that to make sure that any concerns are addressed and people understand really the logic behind it. One of the teachers is going to help present as well. I'll be more or less a sidekick for that presentation, because I'll admit my knowledge of pre-K is limited compared to what Ms. Bronco, Dr. Schlieri, and the pre-K team know. Any questions about start end times?
I don't have any questions about the start end times. I just think it's important to really promote the fact that the board doesn't want to just change any time without having community outreach, and to have an opportunity for the community to have a information session with the administrators like Dr. Portis, explain why certain things are potentially being considered, and therefore have some feedback as to how it will affect you. So I think it's a great thing that you're going to have an information session. I appreciate it. The board appreciates it. If you will remember, this was on the prior agenda and it got pulled because the board felt that it wasn't publicized enough. So Dr. Portis is going to take time out of his schedule, as long as the other people that are going to be at the information center, to make that happen. So we appreciate it. Thank you. And I hope everyone shows up to find out the reasons why.
And next item, I'd just like to provide regular updates on staffing. Right now, we are fully staffed for our full-time positions. We do have a few leave replacements that we're looking to fill. But very happy that we're in strong shape right now. On a related note to that too, we're actually working with a few interested community members to help them through the certification process. Given the fact that there is a shortage right now, not just in the state, but also throughout the nation. If we have people who are interested in becoming part of the educational profession, I've been in it for 27 years. I can tell you it's wonderful. We're looking to help them out. And we're also working with at least one of our staff members, potentially more, to help them gain additional certifications, which helps them better suit the changing needs of our school community. And I think we're on a very good path. And something else that helps staffing too is honestly a night like tonight. I know not too many people tune into board meetings, but knowing that you can be part of a community that truly celebrates academics, athletics, the arts, music, whatever it might be, and the people who are helping to deliver that is really important. And of course, we're always looking for more instructional aides. This is something that's a refrain from every district. And then we are, oh yeah, and then just as we're in the budgeting process, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, we've also, Mr. Gibbs and I have also taken in any of the wish lists from the schools about additional staff that they might need. And the biggest areas that we're really looking at are special education and student services. Those are the areas in which we've seen the highest level of growth. And I think I shared it with a couple committee chairs, but we have compiled data about our special education needs among students and how those have evolved since the 2016-17 school year. And that's something that's consistent throughout districts as well. We want to make sure that we're also providing appropriate counseling services for our students.
Okay, anybody have any questions on that? Okay, next up is CIS. We have 2 items to discuss. EduPlanet rollout update, upcoming PD, and Ms. Esposito will give us an update on a committee meeting that occurred.
Okay, so we were able to secure enough licenses from EduPlanet in order to give all of our staff that needs access to our curriculum to give them access. So what this means now is not only do all the teachers and staff members have access to the board approved curriculum, but we also create, when we board approve, we create a draft copy. So we're really encouraging staff members to include resources from their planning and their preparation into those draft copies. So we're creating a much more robust curriculum that's helpful for everyone throughout the district. So I've pushed out quite a few little 2 to 3 minute videos on how to access it through our Google Classroom that everyone has access to. So we are going to be talking about and encouraging teachers to make these modifications to the draft. And then when we review it, the supervisors and myself, when we review it, then we can submit these modifications to the board for approval. But let me give you an example of why I like EduPlanet and its flexibility. So over the last couple of days, I've had meetings with the elementary principal at SJG talking about data and some of the revelations of the staff there about some of the curriculum constructs and what they're seeing in their classroom. So the teachers, in recognizing that measurement and data is an important element of the NJSLS as well as the NJSLA, it's just hard to fit it into the math block where it usually falls as sort of last. So in conversations with Mr. Kopp and the teachers, they decided to move that measurement and data from mathematics into science. So when the teacher actually wrote the curriculum, she included all the relevant science standards in there as well. And it does fit very, very well into science. So if you're looking at a beaker and you're looking at it in milliliters, you can take a look and then, do the measurements from there. So with a simple copy,
and reassignment, the unit was moved from math into these are of course in the drafts, was moved into the science curriculum. And then we can pass that on to you guys for approval, but it was done super easily. No having to muddle through Google Docs and copying and pasting standards. It was done within a matter of seconds. So also sharing with the grade 4 teachers today, we were talking about how easy it is just to include resources there, and they just like the idea of it. Helps with consistency throughout the 3 schools as well.
Dr. Sheridan, I have a question. So when an update's made and it's approved and it's pushed, do notifications go out to the different educators to say, by the way, this has been updated, there's a new link, come have a look?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah, so that was super easy. I was happy to get that all rolled out to everybody. Questions? Comments? Okay. All right. So we have a half-day PD tomorrow. So we're excited by it. The curriculum and instruction team and a lot of conversations, we've decided that some focused PD for the middle school and the high school teachers on small group differentiated instruction was needed. So the curriculum instruction team that includes myself, Mr. Kopp is absent, but Chris Foglio is filling in for him, Daniel O'Keefe, Jill Murata, Una Abrams, and I will be presenting in rotations, providing an overview of 5 different strategies in which teachers can use small group differentiated instruction. So we'll walk through a little bit what it is and then provide these examples. And at the end, we're asking teachers to create a lesson plan, share it with us. And that's also something that can be added into the draft curriculum as a resource. So that's what we're going to be working on tomorrow with our middle and high school teachers. Our elementary schools are going to be using the time to really collaborate and work together. A lot of their PD days have been monopolized by, over the last couple of years, of Fontes and Pinnell and Curriculum Associates with Ready Math. All great stuff, but really has kind of squeezed the time. So they will be working with their grade level partners and their school colleagues tomorrow, sort of in an extended PLC. And then on March 5th, half-day PD, they will have the last of the Curriculum Associates for the Ready Math program PD. So we're giving them tomorrow to really collaborate and use the time as they see fit.
I have a question related to another professional development opportunity that
Yep.
we're going to be voting on next week or next meeting, actually. Inspired Instruction LLC. Can you explain about what that is a little bit?
Yeah, so in talking with the grade 3 teachers, Miss Abrams, who is our ELA supervisor, asked them what they needed, and they really focused on they needed some additional support when it came to the foundational skills. Foundational skills is also something that the new New Jersey student learning standards for ELA are really emphasizing. So, so we looked in-house. It requires a lot of coaching. Our supervisors are stretched really thin. So what we reached out to Inspired Ed. We've used them before, and they're able to provide this tailored PD for those teachers. So what they'll do is they'll come in for one day, and they'll meet with, in the morning, they will meet with SJG. They'll observe a lesson, and then they'll work with creating a model lesson and then provide some coaching, and then debrief with teachers and Una, and then they'll transition to the afternoon, work with Hillview, and then the following week they'll do the same thing with North Boulevard. So it's providing some more specific coaching from this outside perspective.
Thank you.
Problem.
Anybody have any other questions on those 2 items? Ms. Esposito, you want to give your update?
Yes. Foundational skills, you mean like basic reading skills, basic fluency, or are we talking basic writing, just
Phonics, fluency, that sort of thing.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you. Okay, so on January 29th, the CIS committee held a meeting to just discuss some items. Instructional time at PTHS for the 24-25 school year, and the format of the 20-minute extra reinforcement help block at the end of the school day was discussed Monday through Thursday. Just kind of what the goals are and what that block would be used for. Then again, discussed the reinforcement block at PV, which is a mandatory block at the end of the school day in the 24-25 school year, anticipating the new schedule. Attendance will be required. There will be support for the students to meet those academic needs. EduPlanet is full of rollout, which is awesome. Briefly discussed scheduling during state testing, reviewed the effort to coordinate the schedule to accommodate AP test and state testing this spring. Briefly discussed delayed openings at MCST for students. Discuss the procedures when Pequannock has a delayed opening, but MCST does not. Concerns include busing and transportation. Novel/literature audit. This is one I'm super excited about. I know this is something really that Dr. Sheridan and Ms. Abrams have really worked hard on. So they're going to be updating literature selections and choices for students. Emphasize that choice reading is in fact working at many levels and has expanded, which is great. But they will also be updating some of the literature throughout the grade levels. Super excited for that. Biology, there are some concerns over the pacing as well as the workload that has been expressed by parents. So that was something that was just briefly discussed. Also concerns over the amount of homework and homework over the holidays and weekends. That's it.
All right, thank you. Okay, next up is FFA, and there are 3 items to talk about: the long-range facility update, including 3 separate projects, the tuition rates for the 24-25 season, and shared services.
Okay, so we'll start with the very first item, which is the paving of the front and back lots at the gym at the high school. We're also going to do curb work and drainage work. The total cost is going to be $623,831, and we're hoping to get this done by the end of the summer.
Can I ask you a question about that? The curb work, are you going to be adding any curb cuts in so you can get down from the sidewalk onto the pavement, or is it just like replacing curb?
It's replacing what's there. Yeah.
Okay, because I remember when Coach Smith was here, he had mentioned something about there's one of those corners that requires us to put a curb cut in. Not that it's required, but that it would be needed. It's just something maybe we should look at. I'll try and find out where that was, but
If you let me know, I appreciate it.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Any questions on the paving?
No, that doesn't. That's not the front, that's just the gym in the back.
Gym in the back.
Yeah, it was by the gym.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about paving.
Yeah, no, I'm just confirming it's not the front lot because that was patched up.
We had briefly discussed possibly expanding that parking lot. Is that?
We haven't talked about expanding it just yet, only because the room to expand, there isn't any.
We can't go out towards the 300 wing in the back where the trailers are.
Not to my knowledge.
We're not using that for anything. I mean, it's not.
When you do paving, you have to leave certain amount of area that's impervious.
Oh, well, that would make a
In
lot more
accordance with
sense.
town requirements, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions on the?
I don't, Gordon, you have to tell me these things. I don't think that way. I don't think an impervious land, you know what I mean? I just think of what we might need.
The fact that you said impervious land lets everyone know that you don't think that way.
Don't look at my patio.
Is it impervious? Any other questions regarding paving? No. Okay. The window project, we're going to be replacing 128 windows at the high school. It's going to be in the 300, 400 wing, as well as the media center, the maintenance room, and the weight room. Total cost is going to be $1,073,000. Any questions on that? No? Okay, the last item I have is for facilities as far as updates. We're going to be renovating the varsity softball and varsity baseball fields. The total cost is going to be $97,190, and we're anticipating to get that done before the end of the summer. Any questions on that?
Yeah, what is renovating? What are we looking to do?
They're going to be taking up the old and they're going to be regrading and putting down new.
Okay, does the softball field include dugouts that are not currently there?
No,
Just
it's
the field
just
itself?
replacing what's there. Yes. Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay. The next item I have is the 2023, 24-25 tuition rates. What I did was I took the current rate and bumped it up by 3%. Only because I have not received a letter from the state yet as far as what our tuition we can charge. And I do have districts inquiring as to how much we're going to charge. So it's an anticipated charge, awaiting that letter from the state, which won't come out until about between the beginning and the middle of March. So once we get that, that'll be finalized. The only thing I'm not increasing or looking to increase is the preschool, only because we're cutting back on the time. So that'll be a discount or a reduction for to help parents in the district. Any questions on that?
I did notice that our pre-K rates based on the backup are competitive to every other town. So, I mean, to me, the rates look good where they are. So I think it was a good decision by you to keep them steady.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions on the tuition? No. And the last item, Dr. Portis, did you want to pick up on that?
Yeah, in terms of shared services, this is just something that came out of a conversation I was having with the superintendent of Lincoln Park, where we were talking about after a presentation that Mr. Kopp and I had made for the Aviation Academy. But we did talk about if it would be a good idea to bring together the shared services committee from Lincoln Park with the representatives from Pequannock so that we could have a chance to talk about possible ways that we could work together, collaborate. I mean, we're right next to each other. Obviously, I live in one town, I work in the other, and I have a pretty short commute. But this is something I wanted to bring to the attention of the board, even though it would be funneled through the Shared Services Commission, but to really look at possibilities for how we might be able to, as the name states, share services with our neighbors that could create a greater efficiency for us as well as for them and really help to solidify the working relationship we have with them. I've mentioned it a few times, but I do think one of the great things to come out of the pandemic, there weren't many great things, but is that districts really realized we had to get out of our silos and look to our neighbors and try to find ways to find solutions together. So there's no real immediate need just yet, but I think it's something to put on the radar.
One more thing before we move off. I just wanted to talk about the next meeting where we would vote to approve naming the main gym after Ruth Kellett. I guess at that point, we would then go forward and you guys would plan the process of when you would do it. And I think you said it would be before the start of the next basketball season, and we could plan the whole ceremony and everything like that. But based on everything that I've heard and the anecdotal stories that I've been told, the presentations that I've seen, except for this one that apparently is still out there that I'd like to see. It seems to me like it's a no-brainer that this woman was like the epitome of a person that you would name something after. That tonight we're celebrating two female wrestlers who, you know, wrestling is, I mean, in my opinion, no disrespect, and when wrestling's the hardest sport that you can engage in, and two female wrestlers from Pequannock are going out there winning tournaments, taking second. It's amazing. It's awesome. And this woman helped to promote that, start that, bring us to where we are today. I think it's a great thing and it should be honored. So I think it's a good idea.
And I appreciate the support there too. And I've already started working with Mr. Hazler and Mr. Silpina on making sure that what we roll out is done with the utmost sense of respect, but also an enormous sense of celebration. Because you really do want to celebrate the legacy of somebody who should stand the test of time as a trailblazer. So as we work on the details, I want to make sure I involve the board, specifically the FFA committee, but also notify the community. And I would love to do it as we tip off hoop season next year. I know that basketball was her passion, something we could do it really anytime, but I'd like to really put the planning in, be able to get any local dignitaries, and I know there are some sports writers in the area who have already expressed an interest in attending. If this is to pass, and I never want to treat something as a fait accompli. The vote is the vote. I suspect it'll pass, and then we can really get moving in earnest to really celebrate and do something really special for our gym and our community.
Okay, next up, we have policy. And we have two items under policy. The first one is policy 1210, board superintendent relations. The second one is policy 2330, homework. Ms. Dempsey's out, so I'm going to take the board superintendent relations. There is the draft and backup. We added 2 or 3 sentences. The thought process with this is that it's just good practice to have some kind of procedure for anything in a district as part of good governance. So again, the policies and backup, and if anyone has any questions or comments on it, feel free to voice them.
Not a question, but a comment. So I want to thank Ms. Dempsey and Dr. Portis who never worked on it. I was not a fan of the first iteration of the changes, and so the second iteration I think is much better. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I think Ms. Shenton, that your point was well taken, that we never want to restrict anyone communicating with anybody, right? But and again, it's just really to make sure that best practices are followed, and your input was well taken.
Sorry, I was trying to get my notes in. And then the other policy that is up for discussion is the homework policy. This is one that was last revised back in 2016. So it's not that it's necessarily out of date by dint of being more than a decade old, but it does make a specific reference to a 5% of the overall grade stipulation that we no longer deem relevant. So this is a policy that we're going to bring this back to the admin team and hopefully get some staff input as well about how could we better frame this policy to reflect actual practice and really the philosophical need for homework. I know we're moving away from the time period when people used to measure the strength of an academic program by how much homework was given. We realize that that's not actually an accurate barometer, but we do want to make sure that we have a consistent philosophy and approach towards significance of homework and its role. So we'll run it through the practitioners first, and then bring it back to the policymakers, which is the board, to review, provide feedback, and it should be an iterative process. We're not looking to get this thing done within a month. This might take a little while, but to revamp this in such a way that it is something that's usable and accurate, and also has a lot of fingerprints on it.
Dr. Portis, when you're take this back and you're having a conversations, I know we had some community members here last meeting talking about the possibility of a weekend, like a weekend free, a homework free weekend, whether it's once a month or twice a month or whatever that looks like, and then doing that across the entire district at the same time. Could you maybe sort of broach that subject also and get feedback on what?
Yeah, and
I think it's a great idea. So.
Yeah. Excuse me, I get choked up thinking about it. We did discuss that one as well, and it's something that we're very much interested in doing. And I think it's a really good thing for paying attention to student mental health. And it's also, I think it's really important for staff mental health as well. And I don't know if I alluded to it in public or just in a couple private conversations, but even let's say we do it over a long weekend, tell community as well, if you reach out to a staff member after 3 o'clock on Friday, don't expect a response till Tuesday morning, because they're shutting it down as well. And as great as these things are, for those who weren't paying attention, I held up my cell phone. You're also tethered to them, and I'm sure people are pathologically checking, and you can't do that because you need to break away. So I think it would be a really great thing to do for staff mental health as well as student mental health, maybe for parent mental health as well. But yeah, when I brought it up to the admin team, with Dr. Sheridan, you were there. I felt like people were amenable to it.
I think it's important to draw that distinction though between AP classes and some of the other classes. I think it might be a little bit challenging not to have homework on the weekends for AP classes, even the long weekends, just because we lose so much instructional time because of the AP tests. I wouldn't want to tie the AP teachers' hands by saying you can't issue homework. I mean, I'm not an advocate of doing it over breaks. However, in AP classes, it may be necessary to do that.
Oh, I also think discussing the amount of homework, obviously that's something even for AP classes. You know, I know that we have to keep up a pace, but and definitely not over breaks like the winter break that, you know, is this something we could discuss at the retreat next week?
Sure.
Yeah, Dr. Burtis?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's a policy matter. Now, it's something we can also, I think it might be a good conversation at the retreat as well, is how much can really be legislated at the board and even at the administrative level, because you want to make sure that you're providing teachers the latitude to assign work,
Right.
but also to give them guardrails so that it doesn't become too much.
Right. There may be some classes where they don't really need to have it, and there's some classes where they really do, and we don't want to make it difficult for those staff members either.
Right, but then there are also some of those classes, perhaps homework for the week is given on Monday with understanding that it'll be done by the following week. And then if the kids know what it is that they have to do, they can plan accordingly, and perhaps they themselves can say, I want a weekend free,
Right.
homework free weekend, and
Yeah,
do
maybe
X
more
for another
collaboration
week.
with that.
They're like different ways to maneuver through.
Yeah, and I've talked to a couple of my colleagues from when I was still teaching here, who are still teaching here, and we actually talked about doing a podcast on tips to help other teachers from things that we observed over our years as educators. And one of the things that we laughed about was I used to, as an English teacher, if I assigned homework on Friday, it was never due on Monday. It was always due on Tuesday or later, which probably made me seem like I was a really cool guy. No, I didn't want to grade the stuff on Monday. So it was as much for my self-preservation as it was for, I mean, it's good for the kids too. I wanted them to have a weekend, but just, tips that you can employ, if you give kids a little more lead in time, gives them some flexibility, but it also gives you some breathing room as well.
Okay, that brings us to our next opportunity for public comment. And being that there's nobody left to talk, I'm going to open public comment for just that amount of time and then close it. Our next item on the agenda would be unfinished business. Does any board member have any unfinished business? Okay, next item is new business. I have one new business item quickly, being that our board effectiveness committee unfortunately entirely missed the meeting. I'm going to recommend that they get together and set a schedule for the upcoming deadlines the board's facing for later in the year, like the CSA evaluation, the board self-evaluation, the summer retreat, put all that together in one easy to digest package and give it to the board so everyone can expect what's coming up. I'll work on them with that. Does anybody else have any other new business? How about board member announcements? Anybody get board member announcements?
Sure. Oh, who was that? Yeah, sure. I wanted to congratulate all our teachers and educational professionals of the year, as well as all of our student recognition or achievements that were given today. CPAC meeting March 5th. So if everybody could attend that, I'll keep reminding everyone
at each of our meetings. Also, I attended I attended the committee meeting for the portrait of a graduate, the Pequannock portrait of a graduate. It was really, I thought it was awesome. It was a great station work that we did. And I'm looking forward to continuing to work on that.
I just wanted to congratulate the PV girls basketball team for making it to the finals of the Morris County Middle School Championship tournament. It was fitting that I got to talk about that the same day she was talking to Coach Kellett. The girls lost by 2, but it was a phenomenal, hard-fought game, and the girls should be very proud of themselves for making it that far.
I just wanted to congratulate all the teachers that were honored tonight and all of the staff, because somebody came in second place, right? So a bunch of everybody. Congratulations.
All right, I just got one thing. I sent out an email about the agenda for the retreat next week. So if you have any input that you want to add to it, please put it on that Google Doc. Send it back to me if you can try and do it by like Wednesday morning so I can get it to Mike and we can finalize it, put it into an agenda for the retreat.
And the retreat's 7 o'clock in the, okay. Thank you.
So we do not have reason to go into executive session tonight. The board will have our winter retreat on Tuesday, the 13th, which is next Tuesday. It will be in the PTH cafeteria across the hallway at 7 p.m. And our next regular business meeting will be February the 20th here in the auditorium. With that, we're going to adjourn. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Second. Aye.
Opposed? Good night, everyone.